Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. I have with me Professor Pixel, and it looks like Arnold from the U.S. is with us too. Hi, Arnold. How are you this evening?
I am doing good. I'm doing very good. How are you? You seem like a nice guy. I'm happy to be here.
Well, Pixel, you and I just got through discussing Twin Peaks Season 1, Episode 2 on our Twin Peaks cast and all that, so be looking for that to drop here real soon. We talked in her about how some interesting things happen in that show and in TV and writing, and so we're going to take about this a little bit differently with the Xtreme Movie Show, where our primary focus is on 80s films. A lot of them are action. We've covered early on this show Amy Johnston, particularly Lady Bloodfight and other things too. She's a stunt double. She's, I imagine, modeling. She does some gaming thing there too with Attack to Stack. She's obviously an attractive woman who's a legit martial artist, professional, if you want to say, in that field. So we have a lot of good things to say about her because professionals in that field are far and few between. So Pixel, I know you're not necessarily the biggest martial artist fan out there, but the proof of concept that Amy Johnston had put out a few weeks ago or retweeted called Primer shows her as like this elite level hitman with some guns and some stuff thrown in and all that too. But just for the basic idea of proof of concept, I know you're not necessarily completely familiar with Amy Johnston, but what was your initial take?
As for her work,
the gestalt whack and whammy that hit you over the head when you watched it and said, "Oh, this is Amy Johnston, who people are talking about."
No, that didn't happen. As I was watching, I can't deny her skill. When she was in that scene in the halls, she was absolutely kicking ass. There's no question there. Her acting's a little rough, not too bad. But as for the rest of the crew, they weren't great. But when it comes to her work, there's no question. She kicks ass. Oh no!
I guess there's radio silence now.
Well, Arnold, go on ahead. What's your initial take?
I got to say, aside from the horrible accent, I don't understand why people like accents like that. It's horrible. I got to say, I do like the whole entire concept. Strong woman kicking ass. It's actually a woman who can actually kick ass off screen and on screen. Yeah, he's good. I don't understand this little pixel guy why he's such whining about people don't know how to act. Is he an actor? No, he's not. It's very hard job, and I congratulate people
maybe
that know how to do it.
You know, Pixel, it sounds like Arnold's calling you a little bit of a girly man there. I'll let you respond to that if you want.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Okay, no comment.
I'm not an actor, but I can identify. We watched Twin Peaks, and there are some phenomenal actors on that, and they're playing these weird, groovy characters on there. But there's no question about their skill. But when it came to like the black guy who's like, "Here, take my picture over here while I'm holding this girl," no, it was so phony.
Well, it's proof of concept, so it's not supposed to be top notch. It's just supposed to be that a concept. You put something down there. It's kind of analogous to me of like if you're a writer in Hollywood, you never ever write out a movie. Your full script, you just write, a proof of concept thing, send it and sell somebody on it for, hey, this could be 8 episodes, 12 episodes, 2 seasons, this and that. I've got an arc, and if it gets really big enough, I could do a trilogy of them with spin-off characters. So I had no issue with it. I certainly see what you're saying. I'm trying to articulate in a way that sounds a bit more professional. I think, of course, what we're really talking about here with Amy Johnston is the fact that, again, as a martial artist and as a stunt woman, she's done very well behind the scenes, but also on scene, and she's done some work, I believe, with video games. And I think years ago, and we talked about Lady Bloodfight, how we talked about was the female version of like JCVD movies, right? Was that, she should obviously be Sonya Blade, like in the next Mortal Kombat game, movie, or whatever. And there's a part of me that was popping when I saw when Mortal Kombat, the game got released late last year, when they had Rambo is a surprise character in there too, and they had a commercial for it. He's like, "Oh, I'm your worst nightmare," and he runs in, going, "Oh," and all that. That I want to be badass to see like Amy Johnston go through, because she's got this facial feature, while photogenic, has got a bit of the crazy eyes look to it, and I think that's pretty cool. It's much different than, like, say, Ronda Rousey or even Gina Carano too, which we like both of them and some of the stuff they do. So let me go back to you, Arnold, a little bit. I know you're a big fan of the action films and all that too. Talk a little bit about the special effects being primarily stunts and the actual action movement part to it, because I think the point you said about Amy, her kicking ass off screen and off screen, is really, really important here.
Yeah, I want to talk. Yeah, very much want to talk about. Thank you for bringing that up. I want to talk about when she's fighting against guys who are bigger than her. Most people say, like, well, that's not possible. She uses the momentum of these guys, throws them over. It's very good. I just cannot talk about it too much, because otherwise I'll just go on and on and on and on and on, because I just totally love this. As far as Amy Johnston, I've been following her, for instance, her career as actress and as actress as early as 2013, and then she went to Casey Undercover. She did an episode on that, a couple of TV series, and then I liked her in Dragon Ball Z, basically to highlight the hope. She plays some kind of android, and I congratulate her, because there's a guy who's basically played an android before. She did a very good job, and I congratulate her, and I look to see more of her doing more android type roles. Like I said, the only problem I have is the accents. I do not like the accents in this movie. It just does not feel real. You know,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah, I was getting a little Mike Myers vibe there too, when she's sneaking up behind the guy and the lights are flickering. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But here's one thing I will say that probably, as we go to you, Pixel, I think is more in your corner here. When I saw this concept, I said, whatever it turns out to be, that's fine. But here's the thing with Amy Johnston. This film reminded me of Invasion USA, Chuck Norris, and here's how they're related. That's the movie, I think, in '85 that we talked about on the Xtreme Movie Show, where this is when Chuck Norris jumped the shark, in a sense that, yeah, he'd kick ass, and it was a fun film, and it's beating the Brewskis in Florida and all that stuff around Christmas time. It's very American pro, rah, rah, rah. But it just turns into a just gigantic gun fest, which a lot of things did in the 80s. In the early 80s, you had some of the films that we've covered too: Enter the Ninja, American Ninja, Ninja Craze that was crazy. The canon classics that we've covered many of are all there. At least you saw a lot more martial arts and people performing them. And when you take somebody like Chuck Norris, who's legit, like Amy Johnston's legit, and then you throw guns in the picture, and I'm not saying it's an anti-gun sort of thing, but it's like, yeah, I don't need to see Amy in a cat suit, sniping people with the silencer on a little handgun. I want to see her kicking ass with weapons, throwing stuff, yelling and screaming, and just really beating the bloody hell out of people violently. What do you think, Pixel? Do you want more of that or less of that or none of that?
No, I think a healthy balance is good, because during that hallway scene, she did shoot the one guy, and then she instantly was whipping around, and she was doing... She was putting her body into it, man. And I want to bring up something that Arnold said before. People saying that it's not realistic. I know this isn't in your wheelhouse, Rob, but when it comes to like female street level superheroes, I'm absolutely a supporter of that, because I absolutely understand that it's how you fight. Not just, sure, you can have a big guy, you can have a sumo wrestler going at him like a cannonball. But if you fight smart, then you can absolutely gain an advantage. And just like Amy Johnston here, and this proof of concept trailer, she was going around and she was fighting guys that were honestly a little average size, so it was fine. And I would absolutely be interested in seeing more.
Yeah, Hollywood's definitely gone away from muscle men and all that too. And so, Arnold, in the moment, I'm sure you'll reflect on that as we finish up here on the proof of concept trailer for Primer 2021 with Amy Johnston. Is this, to me, I like to see people being physical, whether they have a good body or not. Without really knowing or eyeballing what her stats are, I would say she runs on the petite side, although extremely fit. That being said, it works to her favor in the sense that some of the stuff that I've seen her in, and we have not seen her entire catalog. We've seen several films, only a couple of them we've reviewed. But She obviously attacks like an animal and real ferocious and all that too, rather than being deliberate, slow, and plodding. And I appreciate that. She obviously does a lot of her stunts and adds that into it. In many ways, Arnold, it makes me want to go, well, since she's not a big muscle-bound woman and all that, we don't really need that. What would be like if she kind of revitalized the Girls with Guns type of martial arts thing that went on, let's say, with Scythian Rothrock in the 80s and moving forward with that? Is that something you'd want to see? Final thoughts there, Arnold, too.
Yeah, as far as her doing her more action roles, we need this. We need to revitalize the action roles. Even if she wants me to guest star, I'm happy to do it. I like her as an actress. I like her as a doing the martial arts. If you do not like it, there's something wrong with you. And because this is the greatest shit I've ever seen, and you should be watching it.
Wow, that's pretty high praise from you, Arnold. I appreciate that. That's pretty good.
I know, right? I surprised myself too.
Well, don't be surprised if you see more of Amy Johnston there in the future too. Pixel, let's go to you. Well, I just expect to have the one big blowout thing from her in today's Hollywood. Who knows if that's the case, because you certainly don't have to have one mega film to be a star. Obviously, she has a very busy plate. I really honestly don't know what Amy's plans are as far as she wants to try to make it big on that, or should be like in a limited action series on Netflix or something like that. I think it's got money written all over it. But Pixel, being somebody that's not necessarily into martial arts films like Arnold and I are and review here on the Xtreme Movie Show, what are your final thoughts on what you would like to see from her? What, your expectations moving forward?
Well, if they're seeking to make this a full featured film, she's fine. Like I said, when it came to her actually acting, it was slightly rough. But as Arnold pointed out, it could be just that the accent was making it that way. I haven't seen her in a lot. There's no question.
I think it's accent envy, but I may be in the minority.
Yeah, I go full shit though. But continue, Pixel.
Her skill as a stunt woman is unquestionable, and that was clear within the 2 minutes she was actually on screen. I would definitely be interested. I watched a movie a couple years ago that I think was a movie made movie called Peppermint with I can't remember her name from Alias, but
yeah, you think you're Jennifer Garner?
Yes. Thank you, Arnold.
You're welcome. Continue now, come on. Hurry,
sorry.
You got time for this shit.
Sorry, Governor. Calm down.
No, you calm down. You do it.
What are you gonna do? Come through the screen? All right.
I don't have to. But I'll be right back.
But I was pointing out that absolutely she's unquestionable as a stunt woman, and I think that that kind of film is fine, and I'd be definitely interested in checking it out. And as for martial arts in general, I'm not against martial art films. I don't watch as many, but I definitely like the ones that I've seen.
So much better than the comic book craziness that's infected Hollywood for the past 10 to 20 years, in my humble opinion. And it's not so humble opinion. I'd rather see more live action stuff too. So anything that she's able to do, or anybody that's able to make that movement go forward, I think is definitely a strong plus too. Because I think at the end of the day, we don't want to see CGI and green screen. We want to see people mastering their body, no matter what kind of body they have or style they perform in, and anything that's just the best thing. I think attracts everybody to it. That being said, I'm looking forward to Godzilla. So it was interesting seeing this as a concept. We'll see if anything comes of it. I'm sure if it does, we'll take a look at it as well. I see Snatchface the Fool has joined us. The real Dr. Varnold. Yeah, I don't know who this RDV is. I know Arnold was here in Pixel. All right, there you have it, guys. Just a quick thoughts too about Amy Johnston's proof of concept of Primer, or she stars as a martial arts / hitman special ops personnel type, and with a questionable accent, maybe. Who knows? Who cares? Whatever. It looks somewhat decent. We hope to see more of her in certain kind of roles too. We've been waiting for that one big breakout thing where she goes nuclear mainstream, rather than you have to be a super hardcore fan to understand what she's done. So Pixel, your homework's to go see Lady Bloodfight, so we can come back and re-review it again after a couple years. Arnold, if you'd like to come back then. If we go to review it, should Professor Pixel do it and lose his girly man card? I think that would be the best thing of all. Let me say thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it. For everybody listening, Snatchface, everybody in chat too. Proof of concept. There you go. Primer, Amy Johnston on the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Robert. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Later. You just Snatch, drop us a line for something you want us to take a look at. We'd be more to have take a look at. There's tons of material coming out. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.